Think about the very first minute you wake up today.
Oh, that is such a crucial moment.
It really is. I mean, are you opening your eyes to a soft, natural light, feeling totally rested and ready? Or are you, hitting a loud, angry alarm in a total panic?
Yeah, just desperately trying to find 5 more minutes of sleep.
Exactly. And how you experience that single minute, and more importantly, how you describe it, can actually dictate how fast you learn a new language.
That's a huge claim, but it's totally true.
Right. So let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive today into some really fascinating source material about morning routines. And our mission is to extract the everyday English vocabulary from it.
Because learning English, or any language, really is exactly like building a house.
Yes. You do not start by building the roof.
No, because the roof is like trying to learn the vocabulary for advanced rocket science.
Or complicated international politics. If you try to build the roof first without anything underneath it, the whole house just falls down.
You have to start with the foundation.
And that foundation is made of the everyday physical items you touch. Words like toothbrush, coffee, and shoes.
That analogy really sets the stage for what we're doing today. A solid foundation is what holds everything else up in your mind.
And because our listeners are building that foundation in English, we're going to keep this deep dive clear, relaxed, and really easy to follow.
Exactly. We want you, the listener, to have the time and space to really absorb these concepts and these words.
So we're tracing the journey from the very moment you wake up to the moment you walk out your front door.
It's a journey every single human takes, every single day. But what is so fascinating is that everyone approaches it in completely different ways.
Absolutely. I mean, before anyone can even think about vocabulary or grammar, they have to actually open their eye.
Right, the literal wake-up call.
Yeah.
The sources reveal two completely opposite ways that humans handle that very first second of the day.
It really is a divided world. First, you have the early bird.
Ah, yes, the early bird. We use this term to describe a person who naturally loves the morning.
An early bird loves the deep silence of 6 o'clock in the morning.
They do. They wake up to a very soft, gentle alarm on their phone. They sit up, they stretch their arms wide.
And they look out the window at the trees and the morning sky.
Right, they use nature to slowly wake up their brain. It's very peaceful.
It sounds incredibly peaceful. I mean, I aspire to be that person. But then we have the complete opposite lifestyle.
The night owl?
Yes, the night owl. This is the person who comes alive in the dark. They stay up very late watching movies, reading, or working.
So when the morning finally arrives, they feel like a zombie.
Literally a zombie. They're physically awake, but their brain is completely empty.
They are simply not ready for the day. They need a strong cup of coffee just to feel human again.
And their alarm is not soft or gentle. It is a loud, aggressive beep, beep, beep designed to just shock them awake.
And because that shock is so unpleasant, the night owl relies on a very specific tool, the snooze button.
Oh, the snooze button. It's such a common English phrase, but it represents a really complex morning habit.
It really does. The snooze button stops your alarm for just 5 or 10 more minutes of temporary peace.
Some people are entirely dependent on it. There is even the concept of being a snooze king, someone who hits that button 3 or 4 times.
Delaying waking up for as long as humanly possible.
Right. But here is where it gets really interesting to me. Is hitting the snooze button 3 times actually a bad thing?
What do you mean?
Well, is it a failure, or is it just a necessary survival strategy for a night owl who is trying to slowly transition back into the real world?
That's a great point. If we look at the psychology behind it, it really functions as a transition strategy.
Like a buffer zone.
Exactly, like a buffer zone. Because the early bird's brain is already active and aligned with the sun, but the night owl's brain is still trapped in a cycle of deep sleep.
So the sudden alarm is just too harsh.
Right. That 5 or 10 minutes from the snooze button acts as a gentle warning to the nervous system. It sends a message saying, get ready. The real world is coming.
Okay, so eventually the buffer zone ends. The battle with the bed is finally won. You pull back the blankets and stand up.
Your brain is somewhat awake, but your body is still slow and heavy.
Yeah, you need a physical action to finish the job, which is why almost every morning routine immediately pivots to the bathroom.
This is a crucial phase of the morning. Imagine turning on the tap and splashing.
Sharp shock that washes away the sleep.
It changes your body temperature and forces you to be alert. And this brings us to some essential beginner English vocabulary.
Right. The items you find around that bathroom sink. The toothbrush and the toothpaste.
Now, on the surface, these do not sound like exciting words.
They really don't. I mean, I always try to memorize complex flashcards in the morning, like advanced business terms, and I usually forget them by noon. Why should we focus on words like toothbrush?
Because these simple words matter deeply for how the brain learns language. A toothbrush and toothpaste are the tools you interact with most intimately every single day.
That's true. You literally put them inside your mouth.
You hold them in your hand. You cannot live a functional, healthy life without them.
So it's about anchoring the language.
Exactly. When you learn a new language, mastering the names of the tools that physically keep you alive anchors the language in reality. It is no longer an abstract concept on a flashcard.
It's a physical object you can feel. That makes total sense. You are connecting the physical action of brushing your teeth to the English word.
And the material we are reviewing also points out the sensory details of these tools. It contrasts a normal manual toothbrush with an electric one.
Right. The electric toothbrush is described as making a very specific sound, a whir.
Whir is a fantastic descriptive English word. It captures the exact sound of a small, fast motor spinning continuously.
And noticing those sounds helps build a richer vocabulary. Now, after the teeth are cleaned, the routine usually moves up to the hair.
And there is a highly relatable, playful English phrase for what we see in the mirror here. Bedhead.
Bedhead. I absolutely love this phrase.
It's so visually accurate, isn't it?
It really is. Think of bedhead like a wild, messy sculpture that your brain creates out of your hair while you are sleeping.
Some pieces stand up straight like a mountain.
And other pieces go in completely random directions.
It is the perfect example of how English can be wonderfully descriptive and simple at the same time. You were sleeping on a bed, the bed made your head messy, therefore you have bedhead.
And you have to use a comb or a brush to tame this wild sculpture before you can face the outside world.
It's a shared human experience, captured in two simple words.
So your face is clean, your teeth are brushed, and your bed head is fixed. You look human again.
But looking human is not enough. The body needs actual fuel to operate.
Which brings us to the most defining and sometimes the most dividing part of the entire morning routine, the kitchen.
The kitchen is where we really see two distinct lifestyle choices emerge. It is essentially a debate between two different philosophies of starting the day.
Right. First, we have what we can call the tea person.
The tea person's routine sounds almost like a morning meditation. It is very deliberate.
They have a favorite mug, maybe a big yellow one that just brings them joy. They place a tea bag inside.
Then they pour boiling water from a kettle. And for our learners, a kettle is spelled K-E-T-T-L-E.
K-E-T-T-L-E. Perfect. So they have their hot tea, and they prepare a simple breakfast.
Perhaps just toast with honey. But the most important detail here is not what they eat, but how they eat it.
Exactly. They sit at a table for designated quiet time. There is no smartphone in their hand.
No television playing the morning news.
It is just the person, their toast, their tea, and their thoughts. It is a very deliberate space of calm.
Now, contrast that calm approach with the coffee person.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this routine operates on a completely different frequency.
The coffee person relies on a coffee maker. They love the smell of the coffee filling the house because that specific smell represents pure, immediate energy.
And they need that energy because they are moving fast. Their food choice reflects that speed, too.
Right. They pour a fast bowl of cereal with cold milk, or maybe they cook eggs quickly in a frying pan.
And we really must mention the basic vocabulary of the table here because these are absolute foundational items.
You have the spoon for the cereal, the fork and knife for the eggs.
And the plate to hold it all. Plate spelled P-L-A-T-E. But notice the physical location of the coffee person. Where are they eating?
Well, they do not sit down at a quiet, dedicated breakfast table.
No, they usually sit on a tall stool right at the kitchen counter, or they just stand.
And more importantly, they are looking at their phone.
Yes, they are aggressively scrolling through the news or checking emails while they chew their food.
It's multitasking at its most stressful.
So what does this actually mean for us? I mean, why do so many of us feel this intense need to consume the world's news on our phones while we eat our cereal instead of taking that quiet Zen approach with our tea?
This raises a massive question about modern psychology and our daily habits. Looking at the phone gives us a false feeling of control.
Interesting, like we're managing the day before it even starts.
Exactly. It makes us feel connected to the entire world before we even walk out the front door. But psychologically, this can be a very destructive habit.
Because of all the negativity.
Yes. The Zen approach, that quiet time with the tea, allows your brain to slowly prepare for the challenges of the day without immediate stress. But the daily news is almost always full of global problems, conflicts, and emergencies.
That is such a great point. You are literally filling your brain with the entire world's stress and anxiety before you even finish digesting your cereal.
You're inviting chaos right into your kitchen.
It really makes me wonder if adopting the vocabulary of a tea person, using words like quiet, calm, kettle, honey, might actually trick the brain into slowing down and acting more zen.
It is very possible. The words we focus on absolutely shape our reality.
But whether you choose the stressed approach or the zen approach, eventually the bowl is empty. You are fueled up.
And now it is time for a major psychological shift. You have to transition your identity from the private, safe space of your home to the public, professional space of the outside world.
And that transformation happens in the wardrobe. This is the vocabulary of getting out the door.
You stand in front of your closet or your wardrobe,
Yeah.
and you have to make choices about how you want the world to see you.
You pick out a shirt, you pick out pants. If the air is cold outside, you add a warm sweater or a heavy jacket.
But the vocabulary of clothing does not have to be strictly business or boring. You can really personalize your English here.
Definitely. For example, instead of just saying, I put on socks, you can describe wearing bright purple socks with little yellow ducks on them.
I love that specific detail. It is fun. And learning a language should be fun.
When you connect English to something personal and colorful, like purple duck socks, your brain holds on to the memory much longer than if you just read the word sock in a textbook.
Exactly. Personalization creates memory.
Yeah.
So you have your duck socks on, you sit down on a bench to tie your shoelaces.
But wait, before you put those outside shoes on, what were you wearing on your feet while you were drinking your tea?
Oh, another great foundational word. Slippers, spelled S-L-I-P-P-E-R-S.
Slippers are those soft, warm, comfortable shoes that you only ever wear inside the house.
Right. They protect your feet from the cold floor, but they never touch the dirt outside.
Yeah.
So you take off your indoor slippers and you put on your outdoor shoes.
Your shoes are securely tied, your jacket is on, you are dressed and completely ready to conquer the day.
But then the universal morning panic strikes.
Oh no.
You look around and you cannot find your essential items.
It happens to everyone. You suddenly freeze. Where are my keys? Where's my wallet? Where is my bag?
You start running around the house, you check the kitchen table, you check the shelf, you dig your hands into your coat pockets.
Getting out the door is honestly like a pilot running through a strict checklist before an airplane is allowed to take off.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. The pilot's checklist.
Yeah. If the pilot doesn't check the engine, the fuel, and the wings, the plane simply cannot fly. If you don't have your keys to unlock the office, your wallet to pay for transit, and your shoes to walk, your whole morning flight is permanently delayed.
You are grounded. You cannot leave the house.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of checklists, if you want to rapidly improve your English foundation, there is a specific, highly effective challenge you can add right at this point in your routine.
Oh, I am always looking for better ways to make vocabulary stick. How does this challenge work?
It's a strategy based on how our memory actually works. The challenge is to stop for just 10 seconds before you leave.
Okay, 10 seconds.
You look around your room, you find 3 physical things,
Yeah.
and you physically point at them and say their English names out loud.
Just point and speak.
Exactly. You point and say chair, you point and say lamp, you point and say clock.
That sounds incredibly simple. I mean, almost too simple. Does that really work better than flashcards?
It works significantly better because of a concept called embodied cognition.
Embodied cognition.
Yes. When you physically point your finger at a real chair and you use your vocal cords to say the word chair out loud, you are creating a strong physical and auditory link in your brain.
You are connecting the language directly to your physical reality.
Right. If you do this small habit every day, pointing and naming 3 new things, you will effortlessly learn 20 new words in a single week.
I absolutely love that. It turns your living room into a classroom. Okay, so you have completed your checklist, you found your keys in your coat pocket, you pointed at your chair, your lamp, and your clock.
The door finally opens and you step outside.
But how we travel and what the rest of the world is doing at this exact time puts our individual quiet morning routine into a much larger global picture.
Stepping outside brings us to the commute, the actual physical journey from your home to your workplace.
And just like the tea versus coffee debate, we see 2 very different experiences of the commute.
First, we have the brisk 15-minute walk to the local train station.
This is described as a highly positive, energizing experience. You are moving your body. You get fresh morning air in your lungs, you see your neighbors walking their dogs, and you get to smile and say good morning.
And once you are sitting on the train, you have a real opportunity. You can listen to music or you can listen to a podcast.
Right. This introduces the concept of multitasking, doing two productive things at the exact same time.
You are physically traveling to your office, but mentally, you are learning English by listening. It is an incredibly efficient use of your morning time.
But then we have the second type of commute, driving a car.
Ah, yes. Now, the drive itself might be very short in distance. It might only be a few miles.
But it involves fighting through traffic. And if we want a simple conceptual definition of traffic, it is this. Far too many cars occupying the same space and absolutely nothing is moving.
Traffic is a universally frustrating human experience. You're sitting inside a metal box, completely trapped, just staring at the glowing red brake lights of the hundreds of cars in front of you.
You have zero control over the situation, which really makes me wonder.
What's that?
Let's say you spend 30 minutes building a perfectly peaceful Zen morning routine. You drank from your yellow mug, you had your quiet time with your hot tea, and you felt great. Does sitting in a box of stressful, angry traffic completely destroy all that peace before you even arrive at your office?
That is a very real danger. Our external environment heavily impacts our internal mood.
Because you can perfectly control the environment inside your kitchen, but you cannot control the thousands of other drivers on the road.
Exactly. This is exactly why putting on a podcast or playing calming music in the car is so vital. It allows you to build a small, private, controlled environment of learning or relaxation right inside the highly stressful environment of the traffic jam.
You are essentially building a protective bubble. You take your kitchen Zen and you carry it with you into the car.
You protect your morning peace. Now, if we connect this individual experience to the bigger picture, we can zoom out from our personal commute and look at global morning cultures.
Oh, this is great. It is so humbling to remember that while you are sitting in traffic drinking coffee, people all over the planet are fueling their mornings in radically different ways.
Yes, the global breakfast. It is a fantastic way to explore cultural vocabulary.
For example, we have the full English breakfast. This is not a fast bowl of cereal.
No, this is a massive, heavy meal designed to keep you full all day. It includes baked beans, thick sausages, fried eggs, and grilled mushrooms.
Now contrast that heavy fried meal with a traditional morning in Japan.
There, you might start your day with a very light, savory bowl of soup and a piece of grilled fish. It is delicate and warm.
Or we can look at France, where the breakfast is often very minimal, quick, and sweet. It might just be a fresh, flaky croissant or a simple piece of bread with butter paired with a strong coffee.
What is truly important for the English learner here is not just memorizing the list of foods. It is understanding the action verbs that power all of these different global routines.
Verbs are the engines that make our sentences move. Without them, you just have a list of objects.
Let's break down those foundational action verbs. These are the engines of the morning. First, we have wake up.
This is the simple biological act of opening your eyes and becoming conscious.
Next is get up. It is vital to know this is different from waking up.
Right. Getting up means you are physically moving your body out from under the blankets and leaving the bed.
Then we have wash. To use water, usually cold water, to clean your face or your body.
Brush. The physical motion of cleaning. You brush your teeth with toothpaste or you brush your bedhead with a comb.
Cook. The act of using heat to prepare your fuel, like frying those eggs or boiling the kettle.
Drink. The act of consuming liquids, swallowing your hot tea or your cold milk.
And finally, the ultimate transition word, leave.
To physically open the door, walk out of the house, and start the commute.
Wake up, get up, wash, brush, cook, drink, leave. 7 simple verbs.
Those 7 verbs are the chronological sequence of the morning. They are all you need to accurately describe the start of your day to anyone in the world.
The core takeaway from exploring these routines is that mastering a language, or simply communicating your life clearly to others, begins with these basic action verbs and the physical nouns you touch every day.
You absolutely do not need complex poetic grammar to tell a coworker about your morning.
You don't. In fact, simple, direct sentences are always the most effective. Saying, I wake up at 7, I drink tea, I leave my house at 8 is perfect.
You do not need to construct a complicated paragraph to be considered correct. In any language, clarity is always far more important than complexity.
So we want to leave you, the listener, with a specific call to action today. We want you to practice this foundation just a little bit every single day.
Tomorrow morning, when you walk into the bathroom, look directly into the mirror. And mirror is spelled M-I-R-R-O-R. Look right at your own face.
And use that moment to ground yourself in the language. Tell yourself out loud exactly what you're doing.
When you go to the kitchen, name your breakfast items as you touch them. Pick up the spoon and say spoon. Pour the coffee and say coffee.
Put on your clothes and say purple socks with ducks. Practice building those simple, powerful sentences in real time.
It forces your brain to connect the English language directly to your physical reality. That is how the foundation of a house becomes permanent and strong.
It creates a memory that will not fade by noon.
It really does. And, thinking about all of this makes me realize the incredible power of language itself. We have spent this time talking about foundational words, the names for tea and traffic and toothbrushes, but I want to leave you with a final, deeper thought to mull over as you go about your day.
What is that?
If the simple everyday words we use actually shape how our brain processes reality, does learning to describe your morning routine in a completely new language give you the secret power to reinvent how you experience your day?
Wow.
Right. If you change the words you use to wake up, do you actually change who you are in the morning? Think about it.
That is a fascinating psychological concept to take with you on your commute.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive today. Keep pointing at those objects, keep talking to your mirror, and keep building that foundation one word at a time.